Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on the thumbnail. We've had a lot of questions about what we're going to do without comments. More particularly, what we're going to do because you cannot comment on videos. Now this video may have its comments enabled, more on that in a bit. But long story short, this video is kind of going to be helter-skelter, a little all over the place, jump cuts. I figured it'd be better to get it out and be sloppy than to not do a video at all, because if I don't do this now, I probably won't get it done. I'm already at the weekend here. And I promise it does have a lot to do with the channel and the future of the channel, at least for the short term. So YouTube giveth and YouTube taketh away. I am getting a little bit tired of doing videos like this, talking about how YouTube demonetized us or disabled comments or gave us a strike on our channel. And that doesn't just happen to our channel, it happens to a lot of channels. YouTube is pretty notorious for doing these types of things. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful that YouTube gave us a platform to have a voice in the first place, to get these videos out. We've been on YouTube for about 4 years now, and I think it's wonderful that we have this kind of outreach, that we could reach literally millions of people. That's a wonderful thing. And also, thank you so much for supporting us. So yeah, a lot of you have asked, what are we going to do? Are we going to go on to Twitter? Or are we going to go on to Instagram or another social media outlet? So if you don't know already, if you're just getting to this, or you're living under a rock or whatever, basically YouTube went around disabling a lot of comments on people's channels. Not all comments, sometimes it's just particular videos, but a lot of channels featuring minors had their comments disabled. SBSK is a very popular one that a lot of you know about. I don't disagree with YouTube going after child predators. I think if someone's going to hurt someone else's rights, then they deserve to lose their rights. In this case, free speech. Child predators don't care about other people's rights. And so I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is how they handled it. In other words, and I hope this analogy makes sense, and call me old-fashioned, but if you have a pine beetle problem in a forest, you don't go burn down the whole forest. Yes, that will get rid of the pine beetle problem, but you'll also destroy the forest. You go in with a particular solution. So in that case, it would be insecticides, and you go and spray the infected trees, and you'd wait a while until it killed off the pine beetles. Granted, that takes more work. It takes a longer period of time, but I think it's the right thing to do. And I think YouTube could have enabled us by giving us the tools we need and just say, hey guys, if you see anything fishy on your channel, like a time code that was left or someone making inappropriate comments, let us know, and then we could report to YouTube, and then YouTube could handle it and just ban that user from being on YouTube, for example. So that's one solution. I've heard of a lot of other elegant solutions people have come up with, but YouTube just decided to burn down the forest, for lack of a better term. And it's hurt us greatly. Our viewership has gone down by about half. And although I love our subscribers and teaching you guys, we started this channel to create autism awareness. That means reaching more people and not just preaching to the choir. Now that choir is very important. They're the regulars. You guys are the regulars, showing up here all the time, and we will continue to create content. I don't want you to be afraid about that. But it has really killed the momentum of our channel and caused me to reflect and do some thinking. And long story short on that one, probably we're going to cut our content creation in half. And I know that might hurt a lot of you to hear that. A lot of you might be frustrated to hear that. It's not just because of the analytics. It's certainly not to do with the ad revenue, because if anything, we'd want to make more money, even though we make peanuts from YouTube. It just has to do with reflecting on our lives. My wife's behind the camera. We've been very busy. Of course, we have 3 autistic boys. I think one of the ironies is, if you've ever seen Dan in real life, he talks about how he's not taking his own advice, because he paints this picture like he's this great family man and he's helping his kids, if you guys have ever seen the movie. And towards the end of the movie, spoiler alert, he tells the newspaper that's interviewing him that he hasn't been taking his own advice, he hasn't been taking care of his family as well as he could. And I can definitely feel that pulling at my heartstrings, that I need to spend more time with my family, because sometimes I just walk in the door from work doing video production and I'm like, all right babe, let's grab the camera, let's go, let's do this vlog. And it can be very disruptive, if you understand. Now if I was doing this full time, it would make sense to do even more videos than I'm currently doing. That would make sense, because that would be my full-time job, but it's not. And if anything, YouTube has put a dagger in that dream. As they say, don't quit your day job, and I'm glad I haven't quit my day job. It has been successful for other people. There's plenty of other channels out there. And incidentally, they did not have their comments banned. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they make too much money for YouTube. Maybe it's because they have a caseworker or a lawyer. Or they know somebody on the inside. I've heard of that happening. Our channel isn't big enough for that. We don't have a lawyer in retainer or a caseworker or anything like that. So I've tried to reach out to YouTube several times. In comments, in emails, on the phone, nothing. Radio silence. As a side note, Patreon did call me when I first joined them. I only had a couple of people on Patreon, and I actually got a human being on the phone. Imagine that. So YouTube could definitely take a page from Patreon's example on that one. Another thing I want to talk about is just generally the future of social media. Why I don't want to start another like Instagram account or Twitter account. Simply because, I'm sorry, I'm getting phone messages. Simply because I feel like we're babysitting them enough. Cannot tell you, I read the comments as much as I can on YouTube. We have a Facebook account. If you don't know, we do have a Facebook family group. And a lot of you are like, hey, how can I get on that Facebook group? We have put it behind a price gate on Patreon, $1 a month. Roughly the price of a bottled water, actually cheaper. So if you want to join that, if you really want to make comments, feel free to join that. A lot of people get afraid when they're like, there's a monthly fee. That was the cheapest Patreon would let me go. In fact, they're like, hey, can you bump it up to $2, make us more money? And I'm like, no, I want it to be as cheap as possible. But I do want it to be behind a price wall, not to be hypocritical, but to ban trolls, and not to ban them, they can still get on if they want to, but to keep out the trolls and the troublemakers, because most people who want to make trouble, they will not pay a penny to get on your Patreon. They just are there to show up and throw up and create problems for people. So, so far that's been successful. We've only gotten people who are really dedicated to the channel and are dedicated followers. So there is that. Check the links below. You can definitely join our Facebook group if you want to do that. Again, $1 a month. It's pocket change. Yeah, and another thing about social media too, I'm just, and this is maybe getting off into the weeds, I'm just a little bit concerned about what I see when it comes to these big social media companies banning, I think mostly conservative groups. Now, I try not to get political on my channel because we have such a large audience. And I believe, my personal belief is we're all God's children and we need to treat each other better. Here in the United States, if you don't know, similar to the UK, there is a huge political divide. And in the United States, it's between Democrats and Republicans mainly. And I think that they're both parties, and forgive me if you are a Democrat or Republican, but both parties are creating and fostering more extremism. And we are more constitutionalists. How about you, Brittany? I don't want to speak for you. Would you say you're more of a centralist or
libertarian/constitutionalist?
Libertarian/constitutionalist. I think that goes for both of us. We prefer small government. We don't like a lot of government corruption, which usually is associated with larger government, so on and so forth, yada yada. The reason I bring this up is because it is disconcerting to me to see a lot of conservative voices hushed by social media. And that's just because they don't agree with a lot of the political views that are being put forward. I think at this point in time, it's been proven that a lot of these larger social media companies have been trying to silence a lot of these conservative groups. And I'm not talking like alt-right or extremist or terrorist groups or anything like that. I'm just talking about people that don't fall into the rank and file of their political views. That concerns me as someone who uploads content to social media, because who's to say that, I might not, of course we did the abortion video on Iceland aborting Downs and autistic kids. So they demonetized it, but in the future they could do worse. So I guess what I'm trying to say is just the very fact that they would go after a certain group and target those groups and try to hush them, that concerns fascist. Me. Yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty much fascist. Now, they might be within their legal right, but you might want to ask the question, are they within their moral right to do such a thing? I've spoken on this on another video where it would be great if they became utility companies and they developed antitrust laws and all those things to kind of break them apart and not let them have so much control, which ironically is, some would say, government overreach, but I mean, that's a topic for another day. Anyway, I have a lot of trust issues with social media, especially after what we've been through on our channel with a YouTube strike, with demonetization, with our comments being disabled. And we're not even extremist. We're not politically extremist or anything like that. We're just a small fish talking about autism awareness, which I think like 95% of the people out there are on board with. So if we get hushed, what does that mean for the future on social media? It's just, I don't want to be negative, but it's kind of a bleak outlook just in general. Kind of went off on a side tangent there, but that's another reason not to just give more to social media and spend more time there. Also, it can just be toxic when you're poring over your messages and phones and you're just neglecting life. I mean, there's a big, beautiful world out there. My wife's nodding her head over there. She's like, yes, get off Facebook, get off YouTube. So yeah, I think it would be healthier. I've been concerned too, because I've been becoming unhealthy by just working all the time. And so that's another consideration. So yeah, it's kind of hard. It's taken the wind out of our sails because I'm now working so hard for so little. And I don't mean that autism awareness is a little thing. It's not. It's a huge thing. But when less and less people view our content, what's the point? And I'm not just talking about like ad revenue or anything like that, but just seeing the videos. A lot of you don't know, and we get accused of this. I brought it up in the past before, but a lot of people are like, oh, you're just pushing your kids into the limelight for views and for money and things like that. First of all, it's very little money. It basically just pays for the channel. But what a lot of people don't realize is once a video is monetized, YouTube will promote it. And they don't, usually, from what I understand, the way the algorithms work, they won't promote content that isn't monetized. Why would they? Because YouTube won't get paid for it either. So once something has an ad placed on it, YouTube is more prone to get it out there and to make more revenue for themselves as well as the channel. So it's kind of one of those things, like if you want to get traction, you put money behind something. That's true with most things in life. If you want things to get out there, you got to put money behind it. And so yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, another thing is too, a lot of you have begged, please open a Twitter account, Instagram account. That might work for you, but most people who get on YouTube, I sincerely doubt will see a video with comments disabled and look down in the description, find out the other social media accounts and be like, okay, I'll open up a new tab, I'll log into whatever social media group that is, and then I'll find that person and then get on their comments and then make a comment about the video that they saw back in YouTube. It's just too many steps. People are inherently lazy, and so when they see something like that, comments disabled, usually they just bail. And I think that's why it's hurt. We could see on the analytics, just the viewership just drop, just plummet. And that's because when people get on videos that have comments disabled, a lot of times they're like, oh, they're cowards, or they just don't want to have a conversation, and it's just not interesting to people. That's part of the YouTube dynamic, is having those comments enabled. So yeah, I might have left some stuff out. I'll leave that in the description. Hopefully this video has its comments enabled because we're not featuring any minors in it. But even then, there's no promises. Sometimes some of our videos that haven't featured kids in it have been disabled, while some videos with our kids in it have been enabled. Seems like their algorithms are a little bit fuzzy on that. So I just want to thank you guys so much for being sub to our channel and spreading the cause of awareness. We still run into people who say things like autism is fake, or like 90% of it is fake, and only the people in wheelchairs who can't speak have autism. And so there's a lot of work to be done still. And so we're so grateful for all of you spreading that awareness and getting that out there. But yeah, to just sum everything up, I have to take care of my family. That means less videos posted, but we will still post. YouTube is going to have to do a lot more to keep us silent.
Is that the best you can do? You're going to have to kill me!
And so yeah, there you have it. Thanks so much. Hopefully you can leave a comment, and looking forward to hearing from you again. And we'll talk to you in the next video.